All right, cool. We're recording. Okay. So next step, after you guys get your account, and I believe you guys verified it as well, we're gonna go to API keys, which is on the left-hand side right here. So just click on that lock icon. After that, click on create new secret key, and then give it any name. For me, I give it sticky note project. You guys can choose whatever name you want. But then after you name it, and then you press create secret key, you're gonna be given that key. Make sure you save that key somewhere because it won't be given to you again. And once you guys are good, just give a thumbs up so we know. All right, nice, nice. Okay, you're right. If you go onto the left side, you can click on this lock icon where it's gonna say API keys on the side. After that, click on create new keys, or sorry, create new secret key. This way OpenAI can give you an API key. After that, you can pick a name for it, create secret keys, and then it's going to give you a very long string starting with SK dash. That is the API key. Once you have that API key, copy it, paste it somewhere, like another files or something like that. Just so you can save it because OpenAI won't give you that key again. And once you're good, just give a thumbs up.
I think we continue.
All right. In that case, now you guys have the API key, we can continue. And you guys are actually done. So with OpenAI account, you guys are given free $5 of free credit. So you guys don't have to put in your credit card information or anything like that. If you guys do want to, put in more credit for whatever usage or integrate like usage limit, then you guys can, and we'll give you guys these slides right after class. But otherwise, we have the API key, and now we can start with the actual coding part. So incorporating AI into the sticky notes. For the duration of this project, we're mainly going to be working in script.js, and we're going to be going through it sequentially. So here you guys see the original send notes function, where we take the content, we clear the input field, we create a sticky note, we put the content into the sticky note, and we display it, right? And you could roughly put that into this flowchart. And as you can see here, the send notes function cover up around 5 or so of these steps. Yeah, so you start the program, you type the content into the input field, it takes the content, clears the input field, put content into the sticky note, creates that sticky note, and then it displays all the sticky notes. And then you can choose to repeat it or end the program by exiting the page. So what about this project? How is it going to be any different? Well, here's the flowchart for this project, roughly. We're going to be integrating 2 different steps. One is sending the content to the OpenAI API, and then receive the AI's response as the new content. And then we just continue to put that content to a sticky note and then display it. Even though there's 2 steps, there's a lot going on in these 2 steps, and we're gonna try to work with you guys to learn about it better. All right, now then, to the actual coding, the fun stuff.
Maybe we should give some time.
Oh wait, I think
Just
that's
open VS Code and script.js.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we'll give you guys some time to open up the original file. I think this is, oh, that's spoilers. Hold on. But yeah, just open up the original sticky note project. Are we good? Oh yeah. Let me go back to here real quick. Okay, I think you guys just got a glimpse of the code out we were gonna write. Hopefully I did not share my API key in there. That would be very bad. All right, cool. So once you guys have this ready, just give a thumbs up and then we're gonna proceed. All right, that's good, that's good. Okay, now then, getting into the coding. So again, just to go back to what we were talking about with these steps, we're gonna be implementing or writing code for two steps, sending the content to the OpenAI API and receiving that content as the new input for the sticky note. And the way to do that is through an API call. And for this session, we're going to be teaching you guys about something called fetch. And fetch is a method in JavaScript to take a resource or fetch a resource from a server so you can use it. And fetch has two parameters. One is the resource parameter, and the other is the option parameter. What resource is, it specifies where you want to fetch a resource from. So in our case, we are going to be fetching it from a URL or an endpoint from OpenAI API. So we can interact with the AI model behind ChatGPT. Let me send that over real quick. Oh, I was also going to share this documentation in the chat. We're going to be using this a lot, or referring to it a lot. But here, this is the API endpoint that we're going to be using, as well as you guys can see here on the left side, there's also the name of the models that's associated with these endpoints. We are going to be using GPT 3.5 Turbo. So we use this endpoint right here. I'm going to send it to chat as well. And then going back to the VS Code, say fetch. No, make this a string actually. Okay, so this URL is going to be the place where we're going to fetch a resource from, right? Or fetch the AI's response. Next is option. What option is basically the additional information that's needed for you to interact with this API. For example, your permission through your API keys, your what kind of content are you looking for? What kind of content are you requesting? What is the format of the data that you are requesting? And all these other additional info. So it's going to be in the form of an JavaScript object. So we use curly braces. And for a fetch option, there's going to be 3 parameters. One is called method. One is going to be called headers. Or yeah, just header. And the other is going to be body. Okay. Once you guys are here, just give me a thumbs up so we're all on the same page. Because I know I just said a lot just now. And of course, if you guys are confused about something, just you guys can ask a question in chat or interrupt me. That's completely fine.
I think in the meantime, when people are doing this, we can give like a brief fundamentals on, what is API calls and why the heck we need it, and what is the API key, right? So coming back to the example from last time, we would compare HTML, CSS, JavaScript to a house, right? Where HTML is the base of a house. CSS is a styling, is a painting of the house, and JavaScript is a utility of the house, right? Well, in the web, you don't live in your house alone, right? You also interact with like the bank, the hospital, different location, different utilities, right? And think about this case, OpenAI is like a bank where it has some resources that we want to access, right? And the API key is the way that OpenAI want to verify you are who you say you are, right? And then match you with the right usage, with the right payment, the number of credits you have in your dashboard. Just like when you go to the bank, right? You provide your the ID or your bank account card so that they can verify you are who you say you are, and then get you access to the bank service. Very similar to this case. We make an API call, so we communicate with OpenAI, and then using our API key to verify it. So that's we can communicate between our application and then the model of OpenAI.
Thank you, Peter.
I have a comment.
Line 36.
Oh, I think we're gonna put the method in there. So
yeah.
So it's left on purpose, but we want to fill that in.
Yeah. Anyways, so first method, this specifies what action we're going to do with an API call. There are several like get, post, delete. For this here, we're going to be using something called post. And post is basically you are writing to, or you're sending data to the API. And then it's going to give you some sort of response. So in this parameter, we're going to be putting post. All right. Next is header. Header is there's 2 things to put in header, or there's 2 general things to put in header. One is called content type. This is basically specifying what kind of data you want back from the API, or what the API should be giving you back. And then number 2 is authorization. This is basically you putting in your API key so that when you make the request, the OpenAI knows like who's making the request, what kind of request is they're asking. And this is mainly for like security purposes. So we're talking creating a header object.
Should be headers.
Oh, that's right, headers. Small syntax error. So we're going to say content type. It's application.json. And then for authorization, oh, it's going to be bearer, and then your API key, whatever this is. Let's see. For me, I don't think I'll expose it. So let's hope and pray. Oh, then yeah. Actually, hold on. That doesn't matter at the moment. But anyways, this is basically the format of it, of a header. So again, your content type, what you want, and an authorization. Make sure you put this bearer before your API key. And then it should be, gotcha. Okay, next is body. Body is basically the data that you want to send to the API. So this is going to include things like your prompts, the prompt, the specific model that you want, as well as the amount of tokens that you want, or the maximum amount of tokens that you want in the response. And we're going to be talking about all three of those, especially tokens, if you're not familiar with them already. So we are gonna see. For the body, we're gonna use it called JSON stringify, and then data. What JSON stringify does is it takes a JavaScript object and it turns it into a string, which is what's needed in the body. Because you can't send a JavaScript object as the body. So this is just like a common way for other APIs to just like know what it is that you're giving it. So we're going to put that's like data as a JavaScript object. And then in data, we're talking about the model, the message, and then the maximum tokens. Okay, once you guys are at this step, just give a thumbs up so that we know to proceed.
We should split.
Okay, seems like you guys are good. So first, let's talk about model. So when we want to specify model, you can go to the documentation, and I'm gonna send that into the chat once again, just so we're all on the same page here. And in this documentation, we're gonna go to the text generation section because this is the kind of models that we need, the text generation models, and the one that you guys are familiar with like ChatGPT. So once you guys scroll down, you're gonna see on this section here, it's talking about model family and API endpoint, which I showed earlier before. But as you guys can see here, the newer models are like GPT-4, 4 Turbo, and like 3.5 Turbo. And for this class, we're gonna be using 3.5 Turbo, just because that's the standard and I believe the one that's directly behind the free version of ChatGPT. So we're gonna copy this model, put it into here. All right, so for messages, what do we put into messages? Well, going further down into the documentation and specifically on the section that we're using, which is called Chat Completions API, messages are in the form of an array, and in that array is an object, or they can be many objects. We're just gonna be using one, and then in that one object are actually two different key value pairs. First is the role, and then the second is called content. Role is basically what you want GPT to do. You want it to be a system, to be a user, an assistant, and whatnot. And then content is basically the prompt that you are sending to the model. So in our case here, we are going to be using the assistant. Okay. The assistant role, because we wanted to assist us in writing something. And then content. Turn this into a dad joke. You guys don't have to do this at all. This is just what I want to use the model for. And then in here, I'm gonna put no content. So for this prompt, I may go wild. Okay. Are you guys good? Oh, you can do that? Oh, that's cool. Envious, huh? Okay. If you guys are good, we're gonna proceed. Okay, next is max tokens. This is basically specifying how many tokens is the model allowed to use in its when it responds back to you. What a token is basically how large language model segments or split apart text data that is given to it. So for example, if you have a sentence of say 10 words, that doesn't not necessarily means that's 10 tokens. Some models could consider like the first letter to be the first token, and then the next, I don't know, random combination like 3, 4, or sorry, yeah, 3, 4 other characters to be like, individual tokens. So it really depends on what the model is. I think OpenAI does provide there's a package to help you tell like how many tokens is in a certain amount of text. But for R here, we don't really need it. And for max tokens, we're just gonna keep it low. That way it's not too pricey. So let's say like 50. Okay. And now that we specify that, we have the method, we have the header, we have the body. This is what completes the option object of our fetch API, or sorry, fetch method. And then we have the URL, which covers the resources. So we're done, right? With fetch, like this is pretty much it. Kinda. When you're fetching a resource from a server, it's kind of like asking for the information, right? But that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it. So you're gonna need to include something else. It's kind of like asking your friend to get you ice cream, and then he's like, yeah, sure, I'll get it for you, bro. But like, there's no guarantee that he's actually gonna get it, right? So you're just kind of waiting, and then you're waiting for him to give a response or the ice cream. So for that case, we're gonna be using something called await, which kind of mimics that, where you're waiting for the response. But as you can see here, there's an error. Let's see, await expressions are only allowed within async functions. And what that means is while you're waiting for the information, you could still be doing something else. Just like how while you're waiting for ice cream, you could be doing chores or maybe doing your homework or like doing whatever. But basically, you are asynchronously doing something while you're waiting for the information. Similarly, your program might be doing something else while it's waiting for that resource. So when you put a wait in a function, you should put a sync right next to it. Okay, do you guys have any questions before we proceed? All right, in that case, we're good. So here we're gonna be putting const response because we are getting a response from this the server. So we're just gonna put into a variable called response. Save it. And then yeah, okay. Next, we're going to make sure, okay, so now we're actually gonna like, yeah, now we wrote to the OpenAI API. Now we're getting back the response. Now let's actually put it into the node content or into the sticky note. So let's see, if the response is good, so we're gonna press something called, or sorry, write something called response.ok. This is checking that you got a 200 response from your request. And 200 basically means it's a, in HTTP, it basically means you're good. Like this is a, you asked for it, you got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. In
in HTTP,
HTTPS or just HTTP, if you want to make a if when by consensus, like when they respond something to you, they will provide a code so you can match it with the status of the response. And in our case, 200 means successful. That response is okay. So that's what Vin meant by saying like it's 200 response. It's not like we receiving 200 responses, but it's a code that the server got back to us that we successfully got a complete response.
Yeah, and there are a lot of HTTP response code like 404, 400, 201. You guys probably know some of them already. But you don't have to learn them right away. It's just kind of something that comes up as you go along web development. And yeah, you're gonna get a lot of mistakes, definitely in this field. But anyways, now that we're checking if the response is okay, if it is, let's actually put it, let's actually get it. So say const response equals await response JSON. This is basically a way to parse, or when we get the response, we want to convert it in a digestible way that JavaScript understands. So that's why we're putting this .json parentheses next to response.
Yeah. One common question that might come up is that, well, if you see the similarity between line number 50 and 54, this if somebody have like eagle eyes, they kind of notice, right? Like we have first JSON.stringify data, and then line number 54 we have respond.json, right? So we kind of this just JSON in there existed on both lines, right? So we kind of have this similarity. Well, the thing is, in the web doesn't understand what JSON is, right? JSON is pretty much just the JavaScript object, right? What you see at header itself is a JSON, and that's it. So there's no like arcane convention about JSON. But in the browser, the web don't understand what what JSON really is. It only understands string. So that's why at line number 50, we have to convert data, which is right now a JSON, to a string. And then when we get the response back, right, now it's also in the form of a string from the server, right? So now we have to convert it back to JSON so we can kind of fetch data from it at line number 54. So yeah, that's if someone see that might be some common question that people have.
All right. Now that we're storing the response into result for like a more digestible format, how do we get the exact response that came from the model? Well, we're going back to the documentation and scrolling down. Oh yeah, so this is what the API response would look like. So here you see like choices, you see a bunch of things like the ID, the model, and all these other sort of metadata that we don't really need or at least in the case of this project. It'd be cool for analysis, but that's a different topic altogether. But for here, if we just want to extract the reply, we just copy this. I'm gonna put it into chat as well. And then store it, that reply, into a variable. Let's call it generated text. Completion. Make sure to replace the completion part with result, because that's actually what holds the reply that we're looking for. Okay. After that, we can actually take these three codes right here, or these three lines that we made before, and then put it into this if statement. And then replace this node content with the generated text. And then I'm also gonna put an ifs or else statement right here as well. Let's say console error, and then yeah, let's say error. All right, and that's pretty much the code. Once you guys are done, I'm gonna stop screen share for a bit, get my API key, put it on the top, just so I make sure it actually is working. But once you guys are good with the code, just give a thumbs up. And then we can all do I'll do a live demo on whether or not this is actually working. All right, guys, how are we feeling?
See some thumbs up.
Nice.
And as always, if you guys face any issue, don't hesitate to stop what doing the way and ask question, or we can jump into like a waiting room later.
I'm getting an error for the const generated text for some reason.
What line is this?
For you, it's 55.
Mhm.
It's saying I have to initialize it, but I don't.
Initialize what variable?
Const declarations must be initialized, but I have everything that you have. I'm confused.
I think we can create like a breakout room to
Yeah.
jump into real quick while waiting for people to finish coding.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter will go into a breakout room with you in a bit.
Okay.
But we're just gonna make sure that everyone has the code first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, are we good? Sai, Mia, Albert. Okay, bro. All right, cool. I'm gonna stop screen share for a bit, get my API key, plug it in, and then we're gonna see if it all works. Yeah, just give me 15 seconds. API key.
I want to screen share my screen so people can copy in case.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm done with that. Now done. Let's get going. Now, if I put something in here, let's say hello world. Why did the computer say hello to the world? Because it couldn't resist spreading a bite of cheer. Did that make sense? I don't think so.
5 out of 10, I would say. But
Why did the chicken cross the road? Yes. Yeah, it's working. Oh, it's working. Okay. With this is pretty much the end of it. You guys can play around with the project now, however you guys want. Or if you guys want further ideas on like how to make this more fun, you guys can come to us at any time.
yeah, before that, I think we can try to if people bore with that joke, I think the way you modify it is you can show people how to modify the prompt. So if you go back to the text editor,
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you want to use your mic or my mic?
it's fine.
Okay, because there's echo. Let's go down here. Turn this into say like a poem. Everybody likes poems, right? Let's do max token 100. Go back to here. Let's refresh that. Hello world. Oh, it's cooking. Who wants to read that?
In the vast expanse of digital plane, a greeting resounds clear and bright. Hello world, it declares as simple and plain. A spark ignites within the virtual night. Across the realms of code and scripts, a language familiar yet new. From the depths of the programmer's wit, a universal greeting tried and true. through line of text, a world unfolds, where data intertwines and thrives. With every click and keynote, we hold a universe. That's actually pretty decent. Yeah, I don't think I can make a better one than that.
And in case
something you want to change like the content of this, all you need to do is go to that message and change that. So like in case later on you let's say you have a question about like homework or something, right? You can just say like answer this question and you paste it. Disclaimer, I'm not suggesting anyone cheating, but yeah, it's just a way to test.
All right. I think you can.
Bro, this is sus. Like, I got this on camera. Okay,
All right.
not in 4K.
Never mind.
All right. With this is pretty much the end of the project. Now we're gonna go into the, I guess, Q&A session or breakout room if you guys need any help. So I'm gonna start doing that right now and stop recording.